Hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah, hookah chaka, hookah, hookah.
So this is page 1 of your textbook, and we're going to go over this material together, meaning I'm going to try to explain it to you in shorter videos that you can rewatch if you need to. And hopefully this will give you an understanding where you can do the homework that's due at the end of this chapter. We start out with notating rhythm. And we talked about rhythm a bit in the PowerPoints you've already seen and how it is so important in what we do. And this text tells us some of the same things. Music is sound and silence in time, right? We talked about how it's the representation of sounds and silences. And it talks also about how the things we talked about in this class are pretty much what's called traditional Western music. That means of the Western tradition that came out of Europe and to America and to the colonies, really. There are certainly other musical traditions that are very important, but everything, like they say here, Bach, Mozart, and Beethoven, Brahms, Robert Johnson, Pine Top Perkins, the Rolling Stones, Broadway, country, jazz, it's all part of the Western tradition of music. And one of the big things about the Western tradition is we've had a way to write it down and communicate it to other people on paper. So, and that's why we have a nice, rich, long centuries history of Western music. Some of the other music of this world we have through oral tradition. It doesn't mean it's not as valuable, but it's harder for us to explore without this great written tradition. So that's what we're starting on here. Starting with rhythm, or how we write down the element of time in a piece of music. You remember the term beat? The term beat is the constant, steady pulse in a piece of music. And we have different notes to represent that. Now, in the PowerPoint, I said that a quarter note represents one beat, which it often does. But sometimes a half note might represent one beat. And that's one of the finer details that you need to know when you start in this theory class. The quarter notes might represent one beat, and so might half notes. What's important is the proportional value between them. Here's the whole note. The whole note is the same as two half notes. The half notes are the same as two quarter notes. Kind of makes sense from the words of the fraction. So whatever value these are, this is going to be twice of that, and this is going to be twice of these. And that's what's going on there. This part tells us pretty much what I showed you in the PowerPoint, where we have a line of quarter notes showing us the beat. And they've even told us in just regular text, a quarter note equals one beat. So these guys, that's what we hear there. You could keep the place with your finger. I could use a cursor, but then what would I tap with? So sorry about that. This is another way of representing exactly the same thing. Now half notes represent one beat, so it's the same thing. We have just used a different symbol for it. The proportions remain the same. Tempo, we talked about that a good bit. Tempo means rate of speed. Now your text also introduces two words I didn't get to in the PowerPoint. Retardando, which is gradually slowing down, retardando, or gradually speeding up, accelerando. This doesn't happen in popular music of any kind very often, maybe at the very end, but in classical music, we encounter it a lot. Here's the discussion of the metronome. We have talked about that already. I didn't tell you that metronomes were originally a wooden mechanical device that you had to wind up, and maybe at your grandmother's piano, you might still see an old metronome. Nowadays, they are usually electronic, or even people have an app on their phone for it. So they put this in 132, 72, or 100 or 60, and they tell us what the beat will be. And in this example, they're telling us what note is going to represent the beat, a quarter note or a half note, maybe an eighth note or a dotted quarter note, which we have not discussed yet. And here's some of the words that you saw earlier: grave, largo, larghetto. We didn't say that one, but that means a little slow. Adagio, lento, andante, moderato, allegretto, allegro, vivace, presto, prestissimo. Most of those you heard already. And this is a relative metronome marking for what those are. But it's not carved in stone. We can do it any way we want. Now, of course, hardly any piece of music is just beat, beat, beat over and over and over. We have a combination. So like in this example, a quarter note represents one beat. These get one beat. These get two beats. One beat, two beats. So this example would be beat, 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 two beats, beat, 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 two beats, two beats. But that's not how we normally count them, but you can get the idea that way. Down here, we have a similar thing, but we put the whole note, which is 4 times as long as this. So 4 notes, 4 beats for this. Beat, 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 two beats, beat, 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 2, 3, 4 for that one. Now, anytime you have these values, sometimes they need to be combined, and that's what this is right here. This curved line, when it goes between 2 notes that are adjacent and are exactly the same, then that is called a tie, and it connects those 2 values. Now, in these examples, it's easy for them to be exactly the same note because they're all on the same line. But in printed music, sometimes people get confused. A tie goes from one note to the very same value, very same pitch rather, and it has to be one after each other. This example, they've changed the basic representation of the beat to a half note instead of a quarter note. So this is the same kind of thing, but now these are beats. This is like 2 half notes, so that's 2 beats, 2 beats. And since these are each like 2 half notes, that would be 4 beats. Beat, 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 2 beats, 2 beats, beat, 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 2, 3, 4. And down here, they're just showing how the constant pulse is represented by the half notes. Let's look at this review set, which is like a little math problem. You add all these guys together to figure out how many notes, or how many beats rather, there are total. Here's an example. They've told us a quarter note is 1 beat. So this first problem is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I would suggest you pause the video and figure out for yourself what you think these answers are, and then turn it back on, because I'm going to continue and work the others for you. Number 1, 1 beat, 2 beats makes 3, 2 more is 5, 6, 7 beats for that one. Number 2, 2 beats, 2 more is 4, 2 more is 6, 7, and 8 for that one. 4 beats here, 4 more is 8, 9, 10. Number 4, 4 beats, 5 beats because this one is worth 1 beat, and 2 more is 7. Number 5, 1 beat, 2 beats, 4 beats, added on makes 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for that one also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Not that different, are they? Now on this part, we've given a half note as a representation of 1 beat. So the individual values are different. These guys are 1 beat. These are 2 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same thing. You could pause it and figure them out for yourself and then listen to the answers. Number 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Number 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Number 4, 1, 2, 3. Number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I hope I got all those right. If I didn't, I'm sure some of you will be more than happy to let me know.